mentioned the portals too. So these portals on, so you don't, we have a seer with our group that she has actually a portal in her house that all these beings come through. It can be kind of busy because there's a lot of
I believe that. Yeah.
I mean, the reptilian factor and the alien factor. It's not just nice fairies and everything. There's like the other types too. They're a little bit more. They have an attitude. So in the real side, these portals. Have you investigated or researched or gone through these portals, and what's that like?
Yeah, no, I have. I have the weirdest dreams. But another way you can call it, I guess, are night visions, which I guess can be an open vision, but you're not quite awake. But I'll be on the ground. I'll reach up my arms, and I call God Papa Love, okay? That's my nickname for him. And I'll just say, Papa Love, can I come to your arms? Can I come up to you now? And I'll just start ascending really quick, and this portal opens up in the middle of the atmosphere. And it's, circular, and then it just sucks me up in there, and then I end up going someplace. And I've been in different places. Sometimes I go straight up into the heavens. Other times I'm what I call the second heavens. I don't know what anyone else would call it, but those beings, they're stinkers, and they're not very nice, and they're out to hurt you all the time. And you have to be careful with them. And so I find that the angels I have, when they carry me on this apparatus. It's really interesting. It's like a chariot of some sort, and I'm always sitting on it. And when I sit on it, there's this beautiful light that comes out at the end, and I see this like this beautiful light aura that comes off the back of it, and I'll just jet across the atmosphere through the stars, and then we get away from them, and then I end up going back up into heaven, or I drop down in my bed and I wake up. It's really weird how it happens sometimes. But I've gone through, I would say, about 8 different portals I've had experiences of, and the sky just opens up, and you jump up or you get sucked up in there. And sometimes it's the most wonderful experience. Sometimes it's like, I wish I didn't have that dream. It's like, why was I there? What was I supposed to learn from that?
And these are different life levels or dimensions that you go into?
I can't explain it. All I know is that's just what happens to me. I'm sure it happens differently for everybody. But it's not a normal occurrence. I get that. Not everyone in my world experiences things like this like I do. But it's what happens to me. And it's happened to my dad. So I think it's hereditary. I really believe that. And my grandmother, too. So I think it goes down the family line, whatever this dreaming gift is, or this gift to be able to be open like that.
Are you familiar with the different, some of the religions and spiritual paths have like a basic literal interpretation of the levels, and is the physical, astral, causal, mental, subconscious, or etheric level in the creation worlds. So it sounds like you're kind of exploring in the astral level. Do you know anything about the other levels, causal or etheric or mental, or are you familiar with that concept at all?
Oh, I mean, I'm familiar with it. I wouldn't say I've studied it, but I have heard of it, yeah.
Okay. Let's see, last question, and I'll give it over to one of our other friends here. Last question would be how do your friends on the real side see the Earth today, and what's going on with the planet, with all the pollution and poisoning and all that's going on with that? How are they affected, and how do they see things, and can they help, or are they doing anything?
Such a good question. I have those questions too. I don't have answers for that. That's a really good question, whoever asked that. What I can say, it is sad. It's very sad, but it's not surprising that it's happening. All this, this discomfort, that the way that we treat the earth in this world, it's just, and I know not every man does that, but man in general is not really taking care of the earth that was given to us. So we're experiencing the consequences, and there will be consequences to actions, right? So I think that's what we're seeing are the consequences of our own actions in history. So as far as what they're doing about it, I almost wonder if like a new world is coming. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is going to pass away and a new one probably will show up and it'll just be better than the previous. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, and I don't even know how to answer that question because it's a really good question. I myself have that same question, but for now, all I can say is just spend your time sharing your compassion and your love with others in this world, and those of us who are awake, who are alive, in the spirit, just do your best to get along in this world and spread that love, spread that light anywhere you can.
Well, have any of your friends on the real side talked about it to you?
Not directly. Through dreams, maybe, yeah. I don't remember every single detail, but I do know sometimes I wonder, I do have this question, Val, are we not meant to remember every single detail because our human self in our conscious level is not able to handle everything at once, but yet inside of us, our subconscious, our spirit remembers everything? So, being awake right now, I probably could remember more when I'm asleep than being awake. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to pass it to Claudia. Claudia's from Corpus Christi, and she's one of our seer friends, and I'm sure she'd like to comment or ask questions too. Claudia, are you there?
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. Oh, this is wonderful. I'm so interested in how you had described your experiences as being portals and what you see going up and coming down. That's very close to what we experience now and then. There's another seer in our group, Sandra, who has more experiences with portals. So she has actual ones in her home and can see entities coming and going through it, so to speak. And some are not so hot, like you said. There's not so nice creatures out there. Right. I'm more of the person who looks at extraterrestrial phenomena, what's going on our planet. I kind of see it from a different viewpoint, and that viewpoint is that the planet was, I guess you could say, kept or captured by extraterrestrials at a point in time, I'm going to say 1 million years ago, when this planet was pristine without humans. There were creatures like monkeys and I guess all kinds of animals, and that the extraterrestrials came and took the DNA from monkeys and increased their capabilities so they became smart monkeys. And the whole experience boiled down to the extraterrestrials that came here were very much ahead of us in all levels of science, especially DNA manipulation. And they took over the planet, changed the DNA of the monkeys to increase their mental capabilities, to operate mining equipment, to work in a farm, collect plants, take care of that sort of thing. So I saw this several years ago as a beginning for Earth population. As the monkeys that were so manipulated came into awareness of their situation, they began to think of other capabilities of saving themselves because they were just used as slaves and not used as anything viable for intelligence or spiritual, in some words, spiritual advancement. But as humans became more and more aware of their capabilities on the real side, which is what we call the dream state or wherever, or they became into knowledge of what's going on and what was being done to them. Today, this is not so much because the reptilians or the extraterrestrials have purposely dumbed down the population so that they don't ask questions anymore. They just accept their plight and they go to their 9-to-5 job and continue on with life as birth, growing up, death, start over again. And they don't remember any of their past lives. So all of this comes with a caveat. If you want to stop the stuff that's going on this planet, the actual destruction, the poisoning of the water, the air, the atmosphere, our food that we eat, we have to wake up and then decide to do something about it. I personally, as a grandmother, I look and see, what's going to happen in the future? What's going to happen in the few years ahead of us? If we allow this to go on, there won't be a planet for our grandchildren to walk upon in any safety. So what you see is just phenomenal in that you've captured some of these ideas that have been out there, but we refuse to acknowledge or see. And it's so nice that people stand up now and say something that hopefully will wake up others. And I don't wish to say anything negative, but the governments of this world were created to keep us enslaved with laws that take our life and make it horrible. And the same way with religions. People kill in the name of their religion. They worship whatever. For us, or for my particular instance, I look at God, the word God, or whatever people think of God, different names and different religious organizations, as a simple way that the extraterrestrials can control us better. We worship and pray to something that we do not understand, and we hope that we will be saved. And that's possible. I'm not saying it isn't. It's just that what we think of as God is simply an extraterrestrial that is far above us in development. And it will take us a little bit of tenacity to understand that we've been deceived and presented information that's false. It takes a little bit to see through it, but too many people are inbred with their religious organization, and they find, I guess you could say, help or sustenance. The extraterrestrials put out a incident in somebody's life. They create a terrible incident. The person prays, quote unquote, to their God. The incident is altered, and they feel that they have been saved, and that's a way of looking at it. But it's not the way it really is. So many extraterrestrials have the capability to stand in front of us and we can't see them because our eyesight is limited to a certain range. We can only see through certain frequencies. Same thing with hearing. Like a dog can hear a dog whistle, but we can't. And so everything that's happened to us has been constructed to keep us in a certain dumbed down state. And then you say, well, what can we do about it? Well, the new presentation was set up here as an educational facility to just say, hey, not everything that you see is the real story. If you want to know the real story, sing the new You song at night before bed or in the morning when you wake up and see what is, ask a question and see what presents itself. Sometimes you get an answer to a question you've been thinking about in a book or you overhear a conversation, or you see something on television, and it will be the answer to what you're looking for. I don't mean to take up so much time, but I get excited about the subject, and that to find somebody who's also experiencing the same experiences is really, it's very heartening to know others are looking, waking up, becoming alert, and noticing, and they're actually doing something about it. So thank you for stepping up. Thank you for sharing with us. It's greatly appreciated.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, Claudia and Val. And we have projects too, Heather. I don't know if you've heard about them, if Val or Kelsey or Henry or Eric mentioned about the All-Solar Research Vessel and the Nations United Universal University and the homeschooling. These are some of the projects and trying to show our fellow humans how to live more natural instead of accepting all these things that are being done to us, the interference by whether you call it the governments, and you've heard of the chemtrails and the vaccines. Oh, yes. And so many ways it is right now, the fluoride in the water.
I've heard that.
All these things, we're being poisoned in many ways. So these projects that we're involved with, trying to make manifest for all, to clean the oceans and to make good water for the people on the earth that don't have the pure, clean water to use in their life, and to try to make people aware of what's really going on, and putting out effort to prevent the air from being polluted and the water from being polluted and the food from being altered and not as healthy or good for the human body as. I see your projects too, like you're going to Mexico, you say, here shortly to hopefully help others become aware of just more than they're aware of in their life. Yeah, I don't know if we have anyone else that would like to be asking you some more questions or mentioning anything.
Ariana would like to say anything. Ariana, are you there? I would like to ask a couple more things. In your bio, Heather, you talk about connecting with an audience without the letting stage fright overcome you. Do you have any tips? Do you have any tips? Because I've been in front of audiences. I think we all have, but I kind of lose a lot of my awareness, or you could say I can do it, but I'm not all there in a way. So do you have any tips for that?
Something that I learned in one of my leadership courses I took a while back, I took it with Landmark Education, and there's an exercise called Be With. And it's really hard for people to do this, but what you do is you sit in front of a partner and you stare at them. And you stare at them until you can see the humanity inside of them. And at times it can bring you to tears. And whatever shows up, you just let show up. And then all the nerves, the ticking and the twitching, the wondering what they think about you, that all disappears. And you just stare inside them, and you can see their soul, you can see their humanity, you can see the love in the creation that they are. And when you can do that, you can stand up in front of anybody on a stage and connect with someone and find that someone that will connect back with you. Then there's no stage fright. You're just being. You're being with that person in that space of love and compassion. So it's called a Be With exercise. So that's one thing that has helped me get over stage fright, because it gets me outside of myself and I get out of my own way. That's what it helps me to do. So instead of staying inside my head, I come out here in the present where everybody else is.
So this exercise translates into a group setting where you have an audience in front of you? This one-on-one translates into the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You can do that, definitely, yeah. And I noticed that it was so funny. When Henry was at our booth, he was doing it with my wife, Carrie, and they were just staring at each other, and they were just being with each other. And Henry had made a comment, and he says, people can't do that, but we can because we've had that training. And it's really interesting when you find people in the world where you can just be with them and just like truly be with them. It's not easy, but try that. I just encourage everyone out there who's listening, try to just be with another person, be with their humanity, get out of your head and be in the presence of that person in compassion and love, and just see what happens. Just see what shows up.
I noticed you were doing that too at the fair. I now that you mentioned it, I noticed you were just there, basically.
Yeah.
You didn't have an attitude or anything. You weren't no expectations or anything. You didn't feel particularly uncomfortable. You were just there. And when there were moments of silence, that was okay. Usually, people are uncomfortable when
people are uncomfortable with the silence, aren't they? That's crazy.
Yeah, they stare at each other and like, okay.
I love the silence. I think it's important that we are good in the silence, because that means we can get out of our own way, which is very important. We have to do that if we're going to be effective in this world. And
do you have any other tips for connecting with an audience besides, is that the basic one, or is there, do you use stories, or do you use the imagery, or how do you connect with an audience?
The way I connect with an audience, I always make eye contact. I find a way to be with them, and I will make whatever I'm talking about them rather than about me. See, I think that's where a lot of people who are speakers fall short. People get bored of listening to, is because they make it all about them. If you can make whatever story or concept or teachings that you're sharing or speech that you're giving about the audience out there, they will take an interest. Then they start to lean forward, and then they start to lend their ear, and they start to really listen. They actively listen from inside themselves, and they have interest in what the speaker is saying because they see, oh, this is about me. I can connect with this person. I can connect with them on this level. So I think that's important, is when you connect with the audience by making the story or the concept or the teaching about them rather than about yourself as the speaker. And that keeps the pride away too. You have to keep pride away, or you just will not be effective. It's important to stay humble.
Makes sense.